And I wholeheartedly agree about Rings of Power. That should not be a thing. I don't mind this. This is not bad. People are freaking out, and honestly, I don't think he looks that bad. His voice isn't that bad.
I think he has too much hair, and I don't like his voice.
Yes, he's got too much hair, but I think people are putting this under a microscope because it's Lord of the Rings.
It is. I can't speak into it because I'm not a big gamer. But yes, like what you were saying, this does not enhance the original art. It's worse.
Movies should be around 2 hours.
90
minutes for kids, 2 hours for action, and then the
3 minutes for Chris Nolan and Matt Reeves and Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah,
they get the 3 hours.
They can do 3-hour movies.
Sean Connery was a dog.
Connery has such a unique charm to him. You want to kiss him right now. Dude, I can't take it.
Welcome back to the Wacky Wonderful Wiseworks podcast, all you guys, gals, geeks, and goofballs. Aren't you the best? Everybody watching.
Oh.
I thought you were
talking about Wyatt specifically.
You'll simply the best.
He looked over
Better
at me.
than all the rest.
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, I thought that too.
No, the viewers, the people that show up.
They do be
the
showing.
people that show up for
and
us
then,
each and every Monday.
You know who's not the best?
Who?
The people that click off the bit of video right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Thanks,
That's
guys.
true. That's a good way to, you know what? Yeah, stick around and you're the best. That's actually really good because once you're 30 seconds in, for podcasting, how many people are clicking off?
Quite a few. I know I do.
I think
Look, if I'm being honest, you click on a video, you're listening, and if, like, for some reason, if you're not vibing with the hosts or the conversation, or simply you get interested in something else, off.
You know what mine is? They usually need to have a multi-camera setup. Because I like cuts. I like to see effort in my podcast, my video podcast. If I don't see that, we see one camera and it's far away. There's zero effort.
It's really
like our
far
pre-show.
away.
Like if I see that effort, like we do for our pre-show on Patreon, then I click off. Yeah. But if I see good quality effort, I will listen probably 30 minutes. If I am not vibing with your personality after 30 minutes, I will cut off.
Wow, he's committing.
30 minutes.
He's committing.
Yeah. I'm a loyal podcast listener.
Yeah, you're committing to a lot.
And when I say vibing with personality, it means I can't find you annoying. That's it. If you're annoying,
yeah.
That's
so
it.
I would agree. If they're not annoying, I'm typically going to be enjoying the conversation.
Yeah.
But
sometimes.
But it especially helps if at least one person is really, I don't know, doing something.
I've come and realized that I've realized that I don't enjoy nonsense podcasts of just
non-topical. My inner eye rolls when people
just
say
conversational
my podcast is
based
about
stuff. Now, I do enjoy some
culture.
non-topical based podcasts, but it has to be an interesting guest of they're talking about specific, not specific
you're
topics,
talking about
but
the
like
specialty of the guest.
Yes,
right.
Yeah.
And not just nothing. So Joe Rogan's his podcast is based on the specialty.
Yes.
Of the guest he's talking to.
But I don't listen to every one of his episodes because some of them
not
are
all the
annoying
guests
to
are
me.
good,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
sometimes it's not enjoyable to me.
And sometimes it's cringy to just watch Joe sit there and try to make conversation with someone who's impossible to make conversation with.
I will say, I remember when we first started, maybe not when we first, it was pretty early on the Midnight Special, mostly. Fairly often you would be like, what kind of podcast you guys listening to these days?
Yeah, what are you listening to?
Then, nothing.
Now?
Now I think I listen to more
diving in.
Now I consistently listen to...
Why do you give me that voice like it's a crazy question to ask?
No, that's just how it sounded then.
You just...
I listen to at least 3, maybe 4 podcasts regularly.
Awesome. That's healthy. It's a healthy number. How about you, Joshua?
All kinds of podcasts.
None of them...
Mostly comedian-based podcasts.
Usually they don't exceed like an hour.
I just listened to a 3-hour Alex Ferrari podcast. If you don't know who that is, Indie Film Hustle.
You knew this?
The Diary of a CEO. No, not yet.
I've been dipping my toes into this podcast. This is like the one
Hold
not
it up
comedy,
to your camera, dude.
comedy based. I don't know if they can see The Diary of a CEO. You saw that. They have decent guests.
They just get really disgustingly rich people to talk about how they got their riches.
No. It sounds like that, but no.
That's
They have all kinds
that's
of
the
people
niche,
on.
my dude.
They have
There's
all
a lot
kinds
of
of
people.
people.
Oh, I heard that on YouTube. Guess what? The three topics that will certainly get you major growth for niche picks as a YouTube channel: money,
Okay.
relationships,
and comedy.
not comedy.
Ah.
Can
you guess?
Sports.
No.
That's
No,
a good
you're
guess, though.
getting too niche.
Oh, wait. You kind of were niche though. With
No,
money
that's
and-
money.
Movies,
Money is
maybe,
broad.
Maybe entertainment movies.
No. I would say
Stuff people
no.
like?
No,
Basic
How to?
interests.
it's business.
Uh,
So business and that like how to grow on YouTube falls into that niche,
Yeah,
right? So business,
Pleasure.
money, and relationships are the three biggest ways to grow your YouTube channel is to be in one of those niches.
Yeah.
Well, if you get like 4 dudes sitting around being like, I need a high value woman, right? For some reason, those grow like crazy.
Yeah, and because but that's the Andrew Tate
That's the Andrew Tate model.
model. Yeah, you say outrageous stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and then here's a niche that I think is going to be blowing up, and after about 10 years is going to be probably top 5 niches is religion. I think if you run any kind of religion channel, doesn't matter what you believe, if you're Jewish, if you're Muslim, if you're Christian, if you're Catholic or whatever, it's Mormon. I think if you run a religion channel that's based around learning, that's based around reaction, that's based around commentary from the perspective of someone who knows the religion well,
Yeah.
you're going to be really big over the next 10 years on YouTube.
This is interesting because I was actually listening to this morning when I was setting up the stuff for this stuff. I was listening to a podcast with Elon Musk talking about Twitter. And he was talking about the algorithm and how they've adjusted the algorithm of Twitter now to on your For You page. They don't show you a lot of... So most algorithm is stuff you want to see. Like they learn what you want to see and then they do that. Twitter has adjusted their algorithm to more interactional based content. So like if you argue with somebody that you don't agree with, you're going to get them more because he said they realized that some people, they just want to argue. So they're going to show them stuff that they know they aren't going to agree with,
right.
so that they can argue.
And I would
with
agree
it.
with that. I've seen a lot more interactions on Twitter these days.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys have heard about and I don't want to get like really political or anything.
Go.
The Daily Wires thing on Twitter.
Yep, I heard it.
Have
I
you
heard it this
guys
morning.
been-
Heard about it this morning. That's crazy. Elon must be slipping.
What did
Elon Musk be slipping?
What you mean?
Well, it's not, I don't think it's Elon
be
Musk that be
slipping.
catching all this stuff. He's just the
no,
CEO.
he fired the person in charge of.
Fired?
Yeah.
The person who went against what he was saying and still suppressed it?
Yeah.
What happened to Daily Wire?
Daily Wire was gonna, for the 1-year anniversary for What Is a Woman, they were gonna release it for 24 hours for free on their Twitter page because Twitter is supposed to be a free speech platform now,
Okay.
right? And they were trying to make a deal with Twitter directly because it's going to be a really big event, right? Because What Is a Woman was a big phenomenon. If it's free, tons of people are going to watch it. Twitter responded and said, we do not allow this content because the father of a transgender person in the video misgenders their kid.
Well, when they posted it up on Twitter, at the bottom it said, "This is like violent content. It can only be shared directly with somebody else.
So if you find the video, you can't share it to your public page. You can't like it.
But you can still watch it.
You can still watch it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you couldn't really have a conversation about it, which is what Twitter is about.
Right.
So,
And also, it can't be shared around. Like Daily Wire wants this to be a phenomenon. So people that wanted to watch it for free will share it to their Twitter, and hundreds and millions of people will find that video because tons of people that wanted to watch it for free are sharing it in this 24-hour period.
Yeah.
So the person in charge of that kind of stuff was let go.
I didn't hear about this.
And then the video was made public so everybody could see it. And Elon Musk pinned it on his page and commented, "Every parent should watch this."
Oh,
Okay.
so he's not
He's
slipping.
good.
He
He's not
fixed
slipping.
the issue.
He was
The
slipping
last
for a
thing I heard-
second. People were talking about, it's like, come on, Elon, you got to fix this. And he did. And,
Yeah.
and
So-
it
what he
seems
did,
like-
why it looked like he was slipping was because Twitter responded and said no, and then he responded to Daily Wire and said, yes, you're definitely allowed to do this. I personally do not choose to misgender people. I call them by what they want, but you should have the right to play this video. It's part of free speech. Then they went ahead and posted it, and it was still blocked. Like it was still doing that. That's why I thought it was slipping, because Elon promised something and it wasn't being delivered.
And I can imagine why, because there were a lot of tweets that were like, new Twitter,
Yeah.
same as the old Twitter.
So if Elon
But
got involved and was
he made sure
Well,
it was posted.
yeah.
He pinned the tweet and he commented, "Every parent should watch this."
That's
which is-
good.
That's
so
a pretty
he's not
baller
slipping
move.
anymore.
No.
He was just
Well-
slow on the trigger.
Yeah, I mean, it's not slow as the trigger. He can't be running all of Twitter. He has people that run Twitter
But
for him.
with
And
Daily Wire, you can get a little personally involved.
Daily Wire's
Right,
not the
no.
big guy on the totem pole.
When it comes politically, yeah,
They're
they
a bit.
are.
They're a big company, yes. But think of all the companies in
On,
the world.
on Twitter, they're huge.
Yeah, but in the world though,
But
People that are
in
on
the
Twitter-
world, they're not as vocal. Or Daily Wire is posting stuff like directly to Twitter, almost using
but
it like
Elon
their
Musk
YouTube
isn't going to
page.
be
He's paying
specifically
attention.
following
Yeah, he is.
Daily Wire.
He clearly is.
He is now, yes. But I'm
But
saying the reason
You're
why
right.
it didn't.
The person
he didn't
who
catch it at first.
The person who was supposed to make
Yeah.
sure that was posted failed.
yes.
Well, they just stuck
what was
to
her
their
name?
guns. which was-
Irwin, something Irwin,
I don't know.
Carla
I didn't
Irwin or
hear
something
about
like
this.
that. And she's been a problem for a while.
Yeah.
And everybody knew she was a problem.
So she basically,
And-
the CEO said, "We're allowing this. Stop saying no to the Daily Wire." And
Mm-hmm.
she said, "I'm gonna say no anyway," because she wants to make a martyr of herself.
Right. I just thought this was a very interesting thing that was happening on Twitter the last couple.
I swear, if
last 24 hours.
there's like a movement that says like that's like I don't know, Carla or whatever her name is was unjustly treated.
No, she's been doing this kind of stuff for a while, just like blocking out what people want to say. And
But people of that ideology love it.
whether you agree or disagree with what somebody is saying on Twitter, unless they're showing like extremely graphic content or really, you really have to go above and beyond.
Because Twitter allows nudity.
Yeah, you should be able to say what you want.
Yeah, you should say.
Yeah, free speech platform should mean
You shouldn't
free
necessarily
speech.
show what you want.
Right. Well,
But you should be able to say what
they
you
do. You can show anything on Twitter, basically.
You can't show murders
I've seen people murdered
on Twitter.
on Twitter. Yeah.
Well, it also was like that in the old days of YouTube until they were like, no more murders on YouTube.
yeah.
Now it's almost always accompanied with this is graphic content, and you choose to click the button.
Right. So that it's get a warning
Right.
at least. Man, I don't know. I'm glad that Elon Musk, I didn't hear about that. I didn't know that he retweeted. I didn't know that the person that was
fixed it,
causing
yeah.
the problem. I'm glad he fixed it. But it did seem like he was slipping for a minute. Because
Yeah,
he's like,
I mean, there's a lot they're working on.
says one thing
They're
and-
also working on some features. Now, I'm not big on Twitter. I watched this podcast because I was interested. They're also talking about I guess YouTube's copyright strike stuff and not really copyright strike, but getting your stuff. You get a warning about your stuff and that kind of stuff for Twitter. They were talking about that.
Yeah.
you
I don't
know,
know.
we haven't got any copyrights on YouTube. I mean, we get copyrights. We haven't got any strikes.
Yeah.
Which I think is a good sign. And I don't know if it's because no one's paying attention to us.
We're also not like on Twitter a lot.
Oh, I'm saying
Oh,
YouTube.
I thought you were talking about
we
Twitter.
we don't screw with Twitter.
I was
right
like,
now.
yeah, we're not on Twitter, so we're not receiving like a ton of. Now, I think if we were, we would probably get a lot more people. I think if we were really active on Twitter, we would get a lot more people.
I'm
we would
surprised
also,
people didn't like report our one video about Disney. There's so many angry people. People are still angry.
It's
Good.
fine.
I'm
It's
glad.
fine.
You say you're glad, and I'm okay with people being angry.
I want people.
I'm
being
just
angry.
so incredibly surprised how many Disney apologists are out there fussing at us for getting critical of Disney's work and then calling us babies and just accept it as grown men. You shouldn't be. And it's like, you're a grown person hating on can't hear the fact that we're criticizing Disney,
Right.
Because your delicate ears, you can't.
We're saying
Disney
this
or
doesn't look super great, and they're like, no,
no, you can't do
Kicking, so
better.
You can't. You're.
It's like, well,
Look at these adults.
If I had the
criticizing
amount of
things
team-
they say on their computer.
if I had the artists, the team, the resources that they had on this film, I feel like I might.
You could do much more because they spent $250 million.
Yeah.
They're not making all of that money back. You could probably make 4 films with $250 million.
I could make a grand total of 25 films with that amount of money. 25 decent, well-told films.
Yeah.
It is what it is. People online are crazy. I am looking forward to where we did get a couple good responses from that video. So the process of YouTube is like, is say things that you really believe, like in relation to Disney. You get a lot of hate for it, but the people in the background that filter in are the people that agree with you.
Yeah.
And they come in behind all of that hate, and they're the ones that stick with you. Yeah. You know
And
what I mean?
I don't want to go from
Hate.
hating to hate, but something people have been hating on justifiably is the Gollum game.
Right.
Good grief.
That's a pretty wild face.
It
That looks
kinda-
like mid-transition.
Oh my gosh.
I got something very hateful to say, and I'm prefacing that.
Hateful? Do we need to block this? Go say it.
Is it about a specific person?
Yeah.
Okay, then
Then
don't
no,
say it.
I
would.
I was gonna
advise
say
don't
this. This guy looks like somebody specifically, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
we
not
all
gonna
know
even
who
lie.
you're talking about.
Meaning
Meaning,
so I don't know
probably not who
how
you're
much
thinking of, but
I don't know how much of this game that you guys have seen.
just what you've told
Just
me.
what I've showed you. If you want to pull up a video of maybe some gameplay,
Right.
maybe some audio.
So explain the scenario for people that aren't gamers.
This game has been
It's a Gollum game.
It's a Gollum game.
Yeah.
It's been talked about for
Lord of the Rings.
quite a while now. So, like years,
there's
I would say.
a review right there.
I'm not doing a review.
You want to hear dialogue is what you want to hear. And people have been actually looking forward to this because it was a lot of people saying, oh, it's like a stealth game, kind of running around the darker parts of Middle Earth.
Which is a really cool concept.
Which is a cool concept.
That's really
Hey.
oh goodness. That's really attractive to me to play Gollum as a character and explore Middle Earth from that perspective.
The issue was execution.
Okay.
The game itself, gameplay wise, is glitchy. Is there not like dialogue? Oh, here we go.
Eyes are marbles, no darkness they see.
Ew.
It's not even close. And that's Gollum. But when he goes into Smeagol,
Faces look garbled, no flurry they feel. No breath, no cheer, death not to fear.
no,
I don't
it's not
mind
like
it.
this. It's not like this in game.
Roses.
Okay, that's enough. I don't know if this will
So
get us.
this is Gollum. I would say the Gollum side of the conversation is much more close to the films.
Okay.
Whereas Gollum's Smeagol's voice is like this. He's like a little tiny Tim boy.
Little British boy.
Yeah. And what you're seeing here of him climbing, that's the entire game. This.
Just moving around.
Just climbing.
What is
It feels
the
like
goal?
Assassin's Creed
Finding the
kinda.
ring,
No, you're trapped in Barad-dûr.
and you got to get out.
Yeah, and you got to get out. And I think there's a scene where you lead somebody to Shelob,
Too much hair.
And throughout, I think Gandalf every once in a while chimes in because you're trapped by elves at the beginning of the game, and Gandalf comes in and he wants to know what happened.
Right.
And so you're kind of recounting the events of what happened.
Yeah.
And every once in a while you'll hear Gandalf chime in and be like, and eventually he like explains the story of him and Deagle. But why I think this is important and why I'm bringing this up is because this is another adaptation.
Okay, hold on. Because I have something to say about this. I have not played the game, yes. So, but of what I'm seeing here, and I know what you're about to say. You're about to say compare something about Amazons, and I wholeheartedly agree about Rings of Power. That should not be a thing. I don't mind this. This is not bad. People are freaking out, and honestly, I don't think he looks that bad. His voice isn't that bad.
I think he has too much hair, and I don't like his voice.
Yes, he's got too much hair, but I think people are putting this under a microscope because it's Lord of the Rings.
It is, and that's important. And you're right. Gollum himself isn't terrible.
He moves right.
No, he's not.
Moves correctly.
I actually think this is really cool.
The problem is the gameplay is bad. It's boring.
So there's just not a lot of excitement.
Hold on. The orcs are not cool. The gameplay mechanics are bad. The representation of Middle Earth in this game sucks. It's not cool. It's not. Parts of it are interesting, but it feels like there wasn't any effort put in.
Right.
Yeah. And going so far as the developers apologized for the game.
So what did they say exactly? Is it an article, or do you have it?
I mean, this is not what
so that's an orc?
People paid $70 for this game. This is not what a AAA title looks like.
It does look a little clunky.
This looks like a PS2 game.
It looks a little clunky.
No, $70 should get you a full, well-rendered game on modern computers and PlayStations and Xboxes. This isn't what a game should look like.
Come on, are we gonna move?
I don't know. I don't think it's that bad.
But you don't play games. You don't watch games that are played. This is bad.
Okay, so
and it's not there's not like everything bad, but gameplay wise, dialogue wise, it seems like to me another bad interpretation, another failure.
Another failure.
Not necessarily like it's just
he does look funny with the bowl cut.
Terrible thing, but another Lord of the Rings failure is what this is.
Right.
And that's unfortunate.
It is, because Lord of the Rings has gotten hit so many times as of late. Mm-hmm. So if people are unhappy, if the fandom's unhappy, and if people are aware that they're unhappy, they're apologizing for this game, sure. If they're doing wild stuff to Middle Earth, I have a problem. I would say mild issues with the voice. I don't like the hair. Mm-hmm. If the characters just look like bad as far as, well, that looks very clunky.
It's not necessarily lore. The lore isn't necessarily the bad part.
Look at how bad that looks.
It's the failure of the game to be interesting, to be playable. There's a whole slew of glitches that happen throughout the game.
Right.
Being just boring.
Yeah, so...
And on top of that, the voice acting isn't super great. And it just feels... I think a lot of fans are like...
We waited a long time.
We waited a long time for this. We just came off of Rings of Power. We're
having an issue with Magic the Gathering.
Yeah,
we were critical of Peter Jackson's The Hobbit,
right?
Which is a lot better than all of this.
It feels like
why do they?
We're in an almost the Star Wars phase,
right?
Where it's like we start seeing terrible thing after terrible thing coming from an IP that we love.
Right?
Yeah,
same with Avengers
Avengers and Star Trek, and I don't want this to be a precursor to more terrible stuff.
Yeah, and you're right. I think across the board, we just need to stop. All right, we're going to see what happens, because what's coming after this, okay? What's coming after this is Warner Brothers are making more movies, which we can potentially have hope in, and at the same time be very nervous about. Because if they're making more movies to kind of craft more of the lore according to the books, because Warner Brothers does have those rights according to book 1, 2, and 3 in The Hobbit for Lord of the Rings. They can make stuff more accurate, and if they choose not to, that's going to be a problem. It's going to be a big problem. And it's unfortunate that everything's happening all at once. It seems like an incredible cash grab that everybody hates with this Lord of the Rings mania. And almost all the articles you're seeing about it, it's people that aren't fans praising it and controversy around the work. And it's just like, when are we just going to see something that's accurate to the books, accurate to the story, accurate to Middle-earth, and then everybody loves it? Because Peter Jackson gave it to us.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it's so freaking hard.
We may not be able to get that again.
Yeah, I don't know.
We can. All you have to do is get a director, a producer, and a writer.
An interesting looking Gollum. He looks like a little guy.
The problem is the people that have the rights to specific parts of these are not necessarily trustworthy.
Yeah.
The ones that had all the money bought rights.
Yeah.
And now they own the rights and are not trustworthy with the IP. What needs to happen is they just need a producer, a director, and a writer that has a vision for Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit or something, and go to someone who has the rights, the ownership, and say, don't give us $200 million. Give us 50, and we're going to do our best to knock the socks off. So they get greenlit, for one, because it's a cheap project, but they're true fans and truly passionate about making something incredible. So the executives stay out of it, and it's only the vision. It's like an indie project.
And you have to make it work.
Yeah. But if the writer, the producer, and the director are real fans and are determined to stay loyal to the books and keep it low budget so no one's paying attention to them until the thing's out, then we'll see a successful project.
And you know what's funny? I was watching Djibouti, and he just came off of playing this game all the way through. And then another game came out where you can customize your character. He's like, we're going to make Gollum. And so he pulled up 2 pictures, this one and the one from the movie. Right. And he made a better looking adaptation of Gollum than this. It wasn't quite this, and it wasn't quite the movie.
Right.
But it looked really good.
Let's see. I didn't write Gollum.
Okay.
All right, let's see. Images. Do we have a side-by-side game and movie? It should be out already, a side-by-side.
There's definitely one out there, but you typed in like the most roundabout way to get that.
Yeah, I mean, that's it right there.
Where?
I mean, that was from the game. Click on one of these.
Okay, so we got...
Why? This guy
I'm trying to find a good...
decisive. Maybe you should zoom in. Maybe that would help you
That's not it.
No.
So this is from the game.
That's closer. That's the game.
That's the game. That's the game. And...
Well, we know what Gollum is.
That's the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, they made his hair too thick.
And his eyes are too beady.
Yeah, there's not expression here.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost just like...
And he's got like almost like a little maw.
Yeah.
His mouth
He doesn't look
out.
bad to me.
His
hair looks a little funny, but I have no problem
He doesn't
with him.
look terrible. He's definitely a creepy little dude, but he doesn't look, I think, as bad as Gollum should. Gollum should definitely be a little bit more, I don't know, rough around the edges. He just looks like a dirty little hobbit.
The game
a malnourished.
Gollum,
That's what he is.
Yeah,
though.
but
the
he's
game
also,
Gollum should have looked like this.
Yeah.
That's and this is probably fan made as a concept for the Gollum for the game, but that's not what they went with.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he should have looked like.
I mean, this Gollum from the movies doesn't just look like a hobbit. He looks like a different creature.
He looks like he is 900 years old or something like that.
There's a shadow in there, like a shadow of something that was a hobbit.
Right.
But the game kind of just looks like a little hobbit guy.
Yeah, with that just looks real sleepy and malnutritioned.
Yeah, and he's got a little mouth that sticks out.
Listen, so I mean, you're a gamer. I'm more than I am. I'm not a gamer at all. I do enjoy gameplay. You're not a gamer. We're not gamers here. We can't. I mean, you can kind of speak into the quality of something. But when it comes, I mean, we always talk about loyalty to the lore, and it's just we're not seeing that.
Let's apply this to what Wizards of the Coast said.
Okay.
which was that every interpretation enhances the original art. Do you think this interpretation enhances the original Lord of the Rings?
No, I think it's a bit of a dumber version.
Yeah.
We've had video games on Lord of the Rings before. Why are we doing it again? That's the only question I'm thinking of.
The idea is interesting. It's like you can play as Gollum, and people do enjoy stealth games. Assassin's Creed.
It's a really great concept.
That other one. People enjoy sneaking around and doing, and like, it could have been really cool, but there weren't enough mechanics. It was just climbing and sometimes sneaking under something.
Do you jump on people and like attack them?
Occasionally you can throttle
Who actually
people.
did this game? Do you know?
I don't know. It is a smaller studio.
The studio that did Assassin's Creed should have taken this over.
Yeah.
I think they could have done something with it that would have been a little maybe better.
But definitely, I wouldn't say Assassin's Creed because they get political with their stuff.
What? Who doesn't?
Yeah.
If you're doing this, you shouldn't.
Well, I'm
No.
saying which studio, which game game manufacturing company is not political.
A lot of the Japanese ones,
So
mostly.
So you think if the Japanese like did a game for like Gollum, it probably would have turned out great.
It would have turned out really good.
All right, then why don't we do that next
Get the
time?
Japanese. They're like,
Jeez.
What studios
The
are Japanese?
Japanese would read all the lore and be like, okay, so let's just make this little guy.
yeah.
Do it just like this.
Yeah, that's what we want. So the Japanese need to get involved more.
No, they're already.
No, in doing
Involved.
some of this.
I mean,
doing games for Tolkien stories.
I don't know. I personally, I would rather see new stuff made than old stuff. Redone.
Yeah, I would too.
We have Lord of the Rings. Do we need more Lord of the Rings?
I think it's fun to play with concepts. I just hate it when once it's ruined, you know?
Yeah.
And so if everyone's bored or upset with this, then it was a whole lot of effort for a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
And so it's a fun concept. Stealth games with Gollum.
Badly executed.
You just have to have there's a whole lot of things you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak into it because I'm not a big gamer. But yes, like what you were saying, this does not enhance the original art. It's worse.
Lego Lord of the Rings does stealth better than this.
If we
Where
saw
you
this,
and Sam and Smeagol travel through the marshes
Right.
and up the volcano and everything.
yeah.
And it's fun. And it's enjoyable.
Lego games were
So
fun.
if we saw this before we saw any Lord of the Rings content or movies or anything, this would be awesome.
This actually would probably be, my
But
gosh.
then Lord of the Rings, the movies, the Peter Jackson films, would be an enhancement of this.
Yeah.
But it doesn't go
Yes.
the other way around. You can't do something incredible and then do something like this that's dumber, does not enhance the original art, and then say it's supposed to.
But
you know?
there is this weird thing of people get nostalgic. Like the
Yeah.
terrible Dune movie came out and people are nostalgic. And so when the new Dune movie came out, people are like, I don't know, I still like the old one better.
It's like, why? It's
Why?
clearly not as good of a film.
Yeah, this new one actually is the book
Mm-hmm.
that you really loved and enjoyed. Why would you? What's wrong with you?
They like the Harkonnen having this weird spiky red hair.
I don't. And I guess they like Sting.
Yeah.
Coming
like-
out of the comes out of the steam.
They
all-
like those wide, boring, long shots where action takes place, but it all looks fake.
Yeah.
They like that.
They like they like the weirding way be like these machines that channel your shout.
Mhm.
It's like sonic machines. It's dumb.
And what wasn't like the shielding boxy?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The shielding. Was
Now that was
boxy.
actually really cool for the time.
I like.
Yeah.
Well, for the time, but the new one's obviously superior.
And Patrick Stewart was in it.
Patrick Stewart. How would you do his voice?
So Patrick Stewart.
Patrick Stewart.
Patrick's good.
Let's thank Cynthia.
Cynthia.
That's.
So
Hold on.
I started typing it, and then
No,
you
no,
got
no.
into an argument about.
No. I typed in the whole word. I know I typed in the whole word, and then I'll tell you what happened. I went to hit escape and probably hit delete, and it deleted the
All right. So this is supposed to say Cynthia. I should fix it.
No, leave it.
Okay, fine.
No, you can fix it.
No, we're leaving it.
Okay.
So thank you, Cynthia, for being a Patreon supporter. A Patreon supporter means a lot to us. And and although we have few,
Mm-hmm.
and although we create good content for them patrons, supporters, the Patreon supporters.
Oh, speaking of,
we appreciate all of them very, very, very
And
much.
we might misspell your name, but we do appreciate
Well, we're still
you.
going to shout you out.
Yeah.
we'd be shouting.
And you know
We'd
it's
be
for
shouting.
you. So
like, just because Joe's
if you want to be a Patreon supporter, you want to join our Patreon, just go to the link in the description. You get podcasts a week early, you get exclusive clips, you get exclusive videos. I think we just came out with one where we talked about details around The Chosen with, one of the big actors who plays Philip has left the project. Talked a little bit about that, as well as the whole controversy around if they're
gay. Are they?
If they're affirming,
Is the
all of The Chosen
Is the Chosen
gay.
show gay?
So we talked about that, but that's all on our Patreon. So you got to go over there to watch that. So just go to the link in the description, find the tier that best suits your content needs, and enjoy it and have fun with us over there. Thank you, Cynthia, for being a Patreon supporter. I did want to say one thing.
This is transition. Do you realize this?
He does it every
He
time.
does every. What's your one thing that happens every week? So basically, it's a one thing a week thing.
I don't have
look.
as much. I don't have as much of an issue with the one thing as much as you transition super fast.
Yeah.
You give
What's
like
wrong
no
with that?
downtime. Here, hold on. I'll show you.
What, do you think
You
people
have-
want to beat?
Hold on. Yes. Hold on. Let me do it for you.
Go.
And that's it. Thank you, patrons. Here's this one thing.
But do you think
You just
if
go
you're
super
listening,
fast.
if you're audio listening, do you think
take a
people
beat.
want to beat?
Take a moment.
Okay, wait, no.
People clearly don't want to beat. That's the whole point.
No, you do want to be. You want to. Thank you, patrons. Here's this thing.
No, that's boring. That puts me to sleep. That's the kind of stuff that makes me click off of a podcast.
Well,
I think there's a subtleness to what Wyatt's doing that I see where you're going with it. It's not quite there either.
Not quite
though.
there,
It's not
but-
quite there either.
you know.
But
we
yes, I
discussed
see where
this,
you're
like,
going.
Transitions need to be. They need to be subtle. And are we good at it?
No, we're not subtle
None
at
of
all.
us.
I'm pretty okay at transitioning.
No.
No.
You're too. You get into it super quick. You need it. There does need to be a pause, like a beat. Like
What's your one
something.
thing though?
I just wanted to say, have you guys heard? I did a video on Wes Anderson, right? And I didn't realize, I knew his stuff is complex, but once you get into the world of Wes Anderson, you realize from start to finish everything's complex. It's not just what he's showing on camera.
Yeah.
It's not just what kind of frame he uses. It's not just what's being said. It's even down to the microscopic details, like how many frames are being used in the edit. How
Yeah.
many frames?
Yeah.
People who don't know,
What's
24 frames in 1 second. So if you're a couple frames off, it is pretty much unnoticeable.
he's probably like no, I don't OCD's not the word I don't think I'm looking for, but in that vein,
Right. Maybe a little bit. But like he matches so much. I was telling Wyatt this the other day, but I don't think you heard. So like in an edit, he tries to create rhythm to the movement. So he would do like 165 frames for this shot. The next shot, 165 frames. The next shot, 165 frames. The next shot, 165 frames, and then someone picks up an item, and then 165 frames, and then it cuts to the next shot. So he is creating rhythm with just the framing count.
gosh.
And
Exactly.
the way people move on their marks, and
Yes.
you'll notice
He
the
wants
way
a
things,
rhythm, and then he puts a
things
score
time
to
up. Things time up with music, right? When words appear as like bum 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 bum. You know, you'll notice.
But he
Wait,
actually
okay.
times his music according to the edit, not the
May-
other way around.
I'm going to step back and kind of argue with this a little bit because I'm curious, because this is an interesting thought. I think something I've always said in art and human interaction is very sporadic, and that's what makes us humans. We're not like ChatGPT. That's why that stuff isn't good, because it can't predict random human emotion. And if he's doing these sporadic like rhythmic things, is it taking away from those human interactions of emotion,
No, because
emotional beats?
No. Because
se.
we are what is happening is we're familiar with how people interact, which is sporadic and chaotic. And what he's doing is telling a story that same story of sporadic human interaction on beat, in frame,
And
in a box, and I feel like he recognizes that there are things you can't predict. There's things that you can't quantify, and even if you place it in this box or in this rhythm or whatever, it's always going to be different.
Mm-hmm. And how he does the rhythm is different. So there was what's that animated one or the stop motion one that he did?
Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Fantastic Mr. Fox, yes. So there was a scene that when I was watching the Studio Binders video of this, they do a great analysis. There's dogs that are coming up to growl at each other, and so dogs move, this group moves,
Are you thinking
and this group moves.
Are you thinking Isle of Dogs?
Maybe
Yeah.
I'm thinking Isle of
Yeah,
Dogs.
you
Then
are.
this group moves, and then this group moves, and this group moves, and this. So it's on beat. Also, the way he edits people's talking to each other, it's almost like if you create a tempo, it's like character said something. Character said something.
This is interesting.
Character said something.
This is
Character said something. Like it's not like doesn't move the way we talk. You know.
So this is actually something. This is also interesting because we have conversations that are random and sporadic, and there's moments in conversations with normal humans that are pauses of thinking, pauses of sometimes we use a filler word which is not good,
Right.
things like that. No pun intended. But as humans we love music that has a beat that has a beat of like 3/4 timing of music. Do you think so? What you're saying is Wes Anderson is ultimately making a bunch of musicals.
What I'm saying is no one can make a Wes Anderson film except for Wes Anderson.
No, they
can't.
They can't make
Because
that.
even
but
these
it's-
AI generated
it's
stuff,
interesting.
now that I look at the AI generated stuff, even their framing is off. Because when I did my video analyzing how he uses the rule of thirds, how he uses center, horizontal, and vertically,
they couldn't.
I did that
predict.
backwards, vertically and horizontal. No one crafts a frame as specific as he does.
Yeah, but and
Even AI.
you
or
only
what
were
people
doing
are doing.
a short for it, so it wasn't only like 60 seconds. You couldn't really dive into it. But
Huh? I did a whole video breaking down.
oh, you did doing
Yeah.
the AI generated stuff.
Oh no.
No, not AI generated stuff. Just analyzing shots from the new
Oh,
trailer.
well, no, I'm
Asteroid
talking about
City.
AI generated stuff.
But what I'm just saying is AI generation or people that are manipulating AI generation still can't edit, craft, and frame the way Wes Anderson will, because it will always come up short. Wes Anderson has so much work and so much thought and so much secrets he has about his process, and no one can duplicate it.
But no, I would agree that it's definitely it definitely sometimes feels like a musical, because a lot of musicals do that same thing where they move on beat
To a song,
to songs to what they'll do is musicals will open up with a specific song and then use that song kind of as the song that moves along the rest of the movie, and they'll have slower versions of the song, they'll have faster versions of the song, and background versions of the song.
Right.
So, for example, Seven Brides for Seven Brothers opens up with Adam singing his song,
Right.
and then the rest of the movie they use those
that.
like in scene transitions, dun, dun, dun,
like
dun,
underscore.
dun, 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 you know, just in the background.
This is a crazy thought, but wouldn't it be crazy if one of the well-known, guy that makes musicals, pronounce his name, Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Lin-Manuel
Lin-Manuel
Miranda.
Miranda.
That guy. And Wes Anderson made a movie together. What do you think it would look like?
It'd be a cool musical.
It'd be a wild music.
It'd
would
be an
be-
interesting musical.
I don't know if
crazy.
Lin-Manuel has the patience to work with,
No,
with
no.
Wes Anderson. And
No,
I don't know
I
if-
think he'd be able to do it.
Look, so out of the people there's a lot of people that work with Wes Anderson specifically and consistently.
Yeah.
But his director of photography has got to be the most patient guy ever.
Mm-hmm.
His name's Robert Yeoman or Bob Yeoman. He has done a lot of crazy stuff. He did the women Ghostbusters. He's done Bridesmaid. He does some of a lot of hated films, like weird ones or remakes and stuff, and some good ones, and all of Wes Anderson stuff, right? So Bob Yeoman, he has a huge style that he can pull from. He's not locked in at all. But he's locked in when he works with Wes Anderson. He knows what Wes wants. And that's important. And so I think Wes always, that's why he always uses the same actors. I think
because he knows
he pulls. It's what we talked about with Chris Nolan last week. It's not even just with actors. It's with people that are doing the creative behind the scenes. It's like I have a very specific vision. If I know this person did it right before, I can trust them to continue doing it right for me, especially with Wes Anderson.
Yeah,
films.
and we talked about like usually the person who has a small role in this film gets the lead in the next film, and it's probably like him saying, "Let me test him out on this short thing. So if it doesn't quite work out, if they're not doing what I want, or I can kind of test them to see if they can get what I want, then we'll put them in the lead."
Right.
So I know he kind of did a dystopian thing with Isle of Dogs, but I'd like to see a live action, maybe kind of bunker dystopian, where it's like everything is in one area, maybe like a really big bunker. That's like a building sized bunker.
Right.
That way you can move up and down a building and have multiple different rooms.
Yes.
I think that would be and knowing him, you'd have a lot of like shots from the outside, so it's just dirt, it's blackness around the building, and then maybe wasteland up top.
Right.
I think his specific style would work because it's rooms, it's squares. Yeah. He works in squares.
And
I like dystopian stuff, and I think it works.
I kind of get what Wes Anderson's doing, but
you have to appreciate it because no one else is doing it.
It's not my thing. I don't like watching his films.
Well, you don't like watching his stuff exclusively, and he only comes out with one film every 4 years.
Don't argue with what I like and don't like. I don't like his stuff. It's not that it's a bad thing that I don't like it. I just don't like it personally. It's a personal thing.
If you don't like a certain piece of art, it's like. You might like the Mona Lisa more than you like Van Gogh stuff.
Yeah.
Or you might like Van Gogh more than you like Mona Lisa.
But
I think it's the same thing. No.
But if you're an art appreciative
he never said
person,
he didn't appreciate what he's doing.
Yeah.
Well, do you appreciate it? Like, can you find enjoyment out of Wes Anderson?
No.
That's what I'm saying. Then you're not truly.
No, I understand what he's doing, but I don't personally have to find.
You don't have to be able to.
You
don't have to enjoy something to be able to look at it and say, clearly, the man's doing a lot.
Yeah.
And putting a lot of effort and creating movies that are fairly successful.
Do you consider what he does art?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
I never denied that.
So you should just say it's not your cup of tea.
That's basically what I said.
Yeah,
Is that not what I mean?
No, you're basically saying I do not enjoy it.
It's personal preference.
Yes,
we were talking
and I
about
said
this
it
the
was
other day.
I
It's
said
like
personal preference.
I don't enjoy What About Bob?
Which is hilarious. I love it.
But I enjoyed the other one that we watched. It's personal preference. Like, what was it? Overboard with Kurt Russell.
Which those are two crazy films to compare with each other. But
it just happened. We watched two comedies fairly close to each other. And I like one more than the other. But that doesn't mean there's not a lot of stuff in What About Bob that's really good.
Right.
The acting.
That wasn't a segment. But that almost was a segment in your podcast.
The Wes Anderson segment.
Right. So let's go ahead and move on.
I know it's not super. I know that wasn't like a great transition.
Well, I was just gonna see if you want to intro this before I switch, but
go ahead.
Why do you have two posters of the Little Mermaid and the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse?
This is not what you guys might think.
I don't know what
you might be grabbing some stuff from this and thinking, what is he doing?
What did they do on the opening weekend? What was their
right?
What's happening?
I want to talk a little bit about
black-led films.
No, and you might think that.
He said it's not what you think.
I said it's not.
Well, that's not what I was thinking, so I went with the not.
But that's the way it looked like it could be. These are two films that just came out that are black-led films. No, this is actually, I want to kind of dive into the question, why are the runtimes so long? And we've talked about this a little bit outside the podcast, but I pulled up an article where they talk about it a little bit.
Okay.
But I kind of want to hear you guys' perspective.
Before we go to the article?
No, let's go ahead and go to the article. Because these are two movies, The Little Mermaid and The Spider-Verse. Now, the first Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse, was about 150 minutes.
Whoa.
Okay,
2 hours.
almost 150 minutes. This new one is 220.
Okay.
That's a big jump,
That's a big jump. That's a real big jump.
and it's a cartoon.
Okay.
Little Mermaid, which is live action, is
Original.
215. The original one is 90 minutes.
I've not read this article. I don't know what direction you're taking this,
It's actually a little less than 90
but
minutes.
right off the bat, something
a little
that
less than 90
that
minutes.
is coming to that's popping in my brain is most movies that are coming out, they are pushing for like theater stuff of they want people back in theaters. They're trying to
Yeah.
get people back in
And
theaters.
we're going to talk about that because that's significant. That's an important
The
part.
first thing I can think of without any direction is maybe they think longer runtimes will give somebody more bang for their buck of paying the movie ticket price, maybe?
You're hitting on all the stuff.
Yeah.
So initially, the first thing you're going to think of, why are movies so long nowadays? Well, we've switched from analog to digital.
So it's easy.
So it's easy.
It's easy to make a really
I
long
mean,
movie.
I was looking at Oppenheimer, and it's like, oh, yeah, Oppenheimer has how many miles of actual film
Hundreds of miles.
that you have to bring, you have to actually bring,
Yeah.
Yes.
right?
And like a humongous camera.
And a humongous
and
camera,
A
yeah.
roll that cost $30,000 for 2 minutes of
Right.
footage.
Yeah.
And now this article, scroll down because they go on forever being like, long movies have been around forever. But
yeah.
that's not.
But with intermissions.
But that's not what. Get past all.
Okay,
There's a
so-
specific paragraph, and
so
I
where
probably
am I
should have
going?
done this myself. Keep going,
All right. Oh, look, it's Robert
the
Pattinson.
Batman.
Robbie Pat.
because that was another long movie.
Yeah, but that deserved to be long.
Kind of sit here for a second.
Okay.
So the first thing we know is we've switched from, for the most part, analog to digital, but we've also had a lot of long films in the past couple years. Avengers Endgame, I think, was a big one.
Mm-hmm.
It was like one of the first superhero movies that was like 3 hours long.
And then you got Avatar.
And then we got Avatar,
Way
and
of
we've
Water.
had a lot of and Multiverse of Madness, and all these movies that are super long. And I think people are like, oh well, I think it's less personally. I think it's less about analog to digital, less about how long to keep people in the movies, and more about trends.
Okay.
People look at these movies that are making a ton of money, Endgame, Chris Nolan movies, and they're thinking people want these long movies.
Well, that's built on reputation, not built on
Exactly.
runtime.
Yeah.
But we know how Hollywood works. They look at something, they're like, oh my gosh, superheroes are working.
Let's do
Let's do
superhero.
and I don't think it's much of a stretch to think long run times is what people want. So let's give it to them. The only issue is they're not going to be making as much money. You're right. Tickets are higher. And perhaps they're thinking more bang for your buck. But also, with a 90-minute movie, you get more screenings.
Right.
You get much
More
more
money.
and that's how people used to make their money.
How long was Super Mario Bros? 90 minutes?
Yeah,
Right around there?
Yeah.
It was a short movie.
What is it? Coming in like 4th highest grossing animated film of all time?
Yeah.
Scroll
It
down
felt
because
good.
this isn't the paragraph I was looking for.
Okay.
I think it's right here.
Okay.
Back up.
Right here?
Yeah, right around here.
Okay, so go ahead and read whichever you're looking at.
So it says for a while, 91 minutes was the ideal length. It fit nicely in a 2-hour block on cable with commercials. So that's the other thing.
It's not running on TV. No.
We're not running on TV. We don't have commercials.
Mhm.
Yeah. There was a whole thing about this in the show The Offer about the runtime. What was their argument in that? Remember there was a whole scene where they were talking about the time, and
There's always a runtime issue when it comes to like these older stuff because of TV related issues. So, Coppola, was it Coppola? He's the author, right?
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Who was the director?
Francis
Remind me
Ford Coppola.
who was the director? Remind me of his name. I'm blanking on his name.
No. Yeah, it was Coppola.
Coppola's the
Coppola's
director.
This is the
Yeah.
director.
yeah.
Puzo was the
Puzo.
Puzo was the author.
Writer. Yeah.
So Coppola was very much fighting for the artistic expression and said that this story deserves a longer script and a longer film. That's why it was longer. But as you saw from the offer, they had to fight hard for that. But go ahead and continue what you're saying.
John Turteltaub says you sign it and then you ignore it. He's the director of National Treasure and The Meg. And then studios don't want to pull the contract card because it could be seen as interfering with the creative process, but they prefer shorter films. So we know that the studios want those shorter films because runtimes in theaters,
more
and more commercials on cable. But we've seen
less.
I think Hollywood has allowed people to be like, well, let's not touch their creative vision. They've got something going on. Taika Waititi's got something going on. So and so's got something.
Hold up. At what point do they decide let's not mess with them or let's mess with them? Like, because there's not consistency there.
I think that's the problem. That there's not consistency. They're saying if we give them the longer runtime, we can interfere as much as we want, and they still get their creative vision.
So we can interject
everything's
our
not
BS.
doesn't fit into a mold of
No.
this film might work better long, and this one's definitely going to be better short.
But I do think if you were to compare something like Mario to Oppenheimer, which one of those would you say
Oppenheimer
works better as a long movie? Yeah.
Oppenheimer.
And so there's always been longer movies.
Yes.
I mean, going back to Gone with the Wind, it was a long movie.
Gone with Them is like
Yeah,
4
but
hours
there's
long.
an intermission on
they
that.
reference Ben-Hur. People like longer movies.
It needs to be appropriate for the story.
It needs to be appropriate.
So why did they make Little Mermaid freaking 2+ hours?
Exactly. That's the question. Little Mermaid and Spider-Verse, I think, are the biggest ones right now that we're looking at.
I also think the reason why people are talking about this too is
Scroll down.
there's people are losing interest, and I think that's our attention span of us as humans, and especially with shorts, our attention span is not there anymore.
And think
we
about
can't
kids.
sit through. Oh, when I say we, I just mean loosely the world can't sit through a 2.5 hour movie because we couldn't do that back in
Because
the
of bladder
day.
size.
Yeah, back
we
in
haven't
the
evolved
day-
with larger bladders.
Like plays and stuff that had intermissions, they would go 2 hours intermission, 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like a play.
That's still the Broadway format.
Yeah.
I've seen 3 Broadway shows. It's always 2 hours, intermission, 2 hours. That's always
Yeah.
it.
And
It's
then-
still like that.
And then you're right, kids as well have really short attention spans. So 90 minutes is great for a kid. But it seems like all of the kids' movies are 2 hours long.
Yeah.
2 hours and 20 minutes on Spider-Verse.
Okay, so this actually goes to prove maybe Spider-Verse is going to be enjoyed by more older audiences
But
and
that shouldn't
younger
be the
audiences
case.
alike. But everyone's always saying The Little Mermaid is for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Not if you make it 2 hours long.
If you make it 2 hours.
You're making it for people that have
kids.
nostalgia around The Little Mermaid.
So they're lying.
So they're lying to us because it's not for the kids. So every problem
It's
they
for the
have,
kids.
they say, stop. It's for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
You're being weird.
Yeah.
But if you just look at the evidence, it's clearly not for the kids.
Historically, longer movies are
not for kids.
Are for adults because we have the attention span for it.
Mm.
So
Miss Rachel knows that kids only have a 40-minute attention span.
right. And with those kinds of bright colors and everything. You're right. The Little Mermaid is too long for what they're advertising. Yeah, it's for kids. Why are you criticizing it? It's for kids.
It's for them to have a new kind of Little Mermaid. The next,
It's
adds
for
original
Disney
art.
adults. It's for Disney adults
Yeah.
to watch The Little Mermaid.
And those are all the people that were commenting on our hate video, right? And it wasn't a general hate.
So what do you
video.
guys think the future is?
I think once they iron out that these things don't make money, movies that are for kids need to go back to being for kids. That was runtime. That's
Mario? You think Mario is proof of that?
Yes.
100%. And movies that are for adults, especially that tackle complex topics like Oppenheimer and the team creating the atomic bomb, that needs time to cook. Let them cook. Or don't let them cook if they don't need it.
What about action movies like John Wick and Mission Impossible? Those are getting close to 3 hours.
If I'm
Yeah.
being honest,
That's crazy.
I think those should be capped at 2 hours.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because they push it just a little too far, and it just feels a little too long for what it is. That also includes the Fast and Furious. Like, if you're doing action for awesome's sake, right? And that's what these things are. They're action for awesomeness. And that's a genre. It works. It's fun. It's supposed to just be fun because it's awesome. Now, in that genre, do we want nonstop action and awesome for 3 hours straight? Not necessarily, because at some point you just become dull.
How long was Dungeons and Dragons? 2 hours?
I don't remember.
Yeah, around
sure.
2 hours.
It felt like 2 hours, but that felt like the right amount of time with the right amount of action.
Right.
It never felt like it was going too slow. It had a lot of really fun action scenes, and then it ended at kind of 2 hours.
What are the days where, what we did with Lord of the Rings, where you give a 2 hour cut, you give like a 2 hour 20-minute cut, and then you give for the super fans that want
a longer one,
give us the 3 hour cut.
DVD.
It died with DVD.
It died with DVD.
Yeah, because they can.
But
have
they
someone
put
buy
the
two
Snyder
two-
cut on the streamer.
Because people asked for it. Because they wanted what Zack Snyder had to offer. They didn't want what Joss
Well, hold
Whedon
up.
created.
Peacock releases, like for Megan, they had the theatrical version, and then they had the unrated version.
They're kind of still doing
which
it.
means
yeah.
it wasn't terribly more violent. It's just it's not the version that was viewed and given a rating. Right.
I just think it's not as
they
it's not
added
as
some stuff.
prevalent. It's more like, well, why don't we just show the 2 hour cut rather than make two movies? And because there's no incentive for people to go out and buy a Blu-ray DVD over going and watching the whole movie on streaming.
Well, okay, so when are streamers going to figure out that if people want a package deal, and this is something where the boomie's going to come in, bro.
Yeah,
the
it's gonna
boomie's
be
going to
killer.
roll up. Because when you pay for a title,
Gonna change the
you
world.
now get podcasts with actors that are under that title. You get behind the scenes. You get extended cuts because you paid for a title for that month. Or you subscribe to a title, not the whole library. Now you get the collection that's under that title. That's what I'm saying. Like a DVD menu. So the boomie. So the boomie's the future. I'm saying.
At the Hateful Eight, Quentin Tarantino. So he made an extended version, and Netflix has it on there. At least they did. Well, when I watched it, they released it. Quentin is known for his chapters. He'll do like chapter 1, chapter 2 and type thing. And he did a 4-chapter movie, and so Netflix put it out as almost a 4 episode thing at an hour a piece.
The theatrical version was much shorter, and it felt more chaotic, and it also felt too long.
The original?
The theatrical, yeah.
Oh.
It felt too long. It felt too chaotic. Whereas you go and watch it on Netflix, it's episodic.
Yeah.
You feel like you didn't just watch a 4-hour movie. You watched 4 episodes of an interesting story.
Right.
Yeah.
I think long form should be long form. It should be episodic. And I think movies should be around 2 hours. 90 minutes for kids, 2 hours for action, and then the
3 minutes for Chris Nolan and Matt Reeves and Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah,
they get the 3 hours.
They can do 3-hour movies.
Do you think the hour-long episode
James Cameron,
type thing of a movie is just a streaming version of, let me take this VHS out, put it in. I got to take the second part 2 VHS copy out.
And
you'd buy those VHS with two,
I just think
3 of them
double
in it.
slot.
I think Hollywood is in such a weird flux right now. We've got writer strikes going on. Pretty soon there's going to be, actually, probably by the time this comes out, there's going to be an actor's strike.
Woo.
Everything's going to shut down.
That's going to get real spicy.
We have runtimes that are going. Disney's.
I'm ready to step up.
And for some reason,
Play the next Superman.
The YouTube comment section.
No, I don't want Superman. The
are
next
going
Batman.
to war for Disney.
Yeah,
Like
it's
what?
wild.
Why
what's
is
happening? Right
why
now.
is a bunch of no-faced YouTube commenters?
No-faced?
Yeah, no-face, which means they don't upload to their channel, right?
Oh.
They don't do creative content. They just go on and I don't know, just hate anyone who does a single critical
Comments
word of
aren't
Disney.
creative.
Like why is that a thing?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. If these are for kids, why are a bunch of adults in the comment section?
Again, just to finish up this segment, what do you guys think the future is?
I think what you said.
You
And
think
the
we go,
boom.
you think we return to form and
Do 2
stream-
copies?
Yeah.
No,
look,
no, not 2 copies.
2 versions?
90 minutes, 2 hours.
yeah,
3
yeah.
hours.
No,
Oh.
I think kids content 40 to 90 minutes. That's it. Kids content's 40 to 90 minutes. I think hold on, let me finish this. Also, you're right, action movies from 90 to 2 hours, that window, and then the people that are doing the high-end stuff and it's kind of based on directors, not really based on project, but based on directors, then they get the 2-hour plus titles. And then as far as consumption, so we get extended cuts, so we get behind the scenes, and it's not just spread around on YouTube or random collections on Max or whatever. The Boomie's gonna change it at some point. Someone's gonna create it. Karina said we should definitely patent this idea, because at some point this is gonna happen. The Boomie's gonna happen, because when it happens,
but
you get a title and everything there because people loved it.
We don't have the tech know-how.
We can figure out a patent so that when someone creates it, we say, hey, we came up with this idea on this date. Here's the legal proof. And then they'd be like, well, dang it. I guess we got to give you money.
No, that feels cheap.
Well, if we get the patent and say you're not allowed to do it.
We came up with this idea, but we didn't create anything.
Okay, but
No.
here's the thing. Maybe down
I
the
would
road.
rather the idea get created by somebody.
But don't you want to
If I had
partner with someone
if
to
I
get
had
it
the
created?
means to help create it, then yeah. But if somebody else is in Wyoming is going to create it, I don't feel like I have.
Dude, why can't we create it?
I don't feel like I have like any right to their idea.
Well, what? But it's also our idea. So why don't we create it
But if they have a
ourselves?
prototype, if they're actually doing something with it, it's their idea.
It's not really a prototype. The technology's already there. It's
It's
more
there.
about it's more about the deals you have
and
to
it's
make
more,
with the streamers.
It's code. People are writing code. Yeah.
It's code and it's legal deal making. That's what it is. We can do that. Why not? Give ourselves 5 to 10 years. We'll have the means to do it. That's what I think.
Yeah.
We should patent the idea. And if you don't, I will. And I'll get all the money.
Patent it. I don't care.
All right. We're getting close. How long have we been going?
An hour 10.
Okay. So
wow.
we got one more.
We got one more thing.
One more.
Just one more thing.
All right. So, you want to intro? Or you want me to go right to it?
I don't remember what it is.
All right. Here we go.
Oh yeah.
Wait.
So
hold on.
speaking of Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise is getting upset. He's
Is that
calling-
Tom?
Yeah, that's Tom Cruise.
That's
Wow.
from Tropic Thunder.
Tropic
dude.
Thunder.
With the
He's-
big hands.
He's upset. He's getting upset.
Look at how big
He's
them hands.
calling studios, and can you guys guess why?
Does
Because
this have
of
something to do with his art, his
This has to do with Mission Impossible.
Okay, so I definitely has to do with Mission Impossible. He's getting upset because did somebody put their title on an opening weekend?
So, Mission Impossible opens 10 days before Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Whoa.
He's calling.
Whoa.
He doesn't want.
That is like a week.
He doesn't want Oppenheimer, especially, to come in and
Kill his movie.
and start taking up
Theaters.
all of the IMAX.
It will.
It
Oh,
will.
Dear.
People are already. Theaters are already, saying, oh well, IMAX is reserved for Oppenheimer when it comes out. But
Do
he's
we
like,
have-
what about? There is another slide.
Let me go to it.
Yeah.
All right.
So
You're doing a similar thing I did.
well, I was just lazily throwing stuff together.
Okay.
I want to know
Ethan Hunt.
in this battle.
Okay.
Dun, 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 that's Street Fighter.
Killian.
In this battle of IMAX, what do you guys think is going to happen?
Oppenheimer wins.
You think Oppenheimer wins every
Yep.
time?
I think Oppenheimer wins every time because, especially the timing.
If
So
this wasn't,
you have 10 days to watch Mission Impossible before Oppenheimer comes out. So that means anybody who would watch it in IMAX, anybody who would just go to the theaters to watch Mission Impossible is already going to watch it. And then the stragglers who's like, let's go to the movie theaters. What should we watch?
Now I was
You know what I
actually-
mean?
Yeah.
Those people might choose Oppenheimer over Mission Impossible.
They will.
I was actually going to come up with a little game where for each point where we're like, actually, Mission Impossible might do better. I was going to have a little thing where it would go Hadouken, and I would drag a little Hadouken over and hit the other person. But that was a lot of effort, and I didn't want to do that. So
You also didn't do a Photoshop. You just put a square
Yep.
square image on
Yep.
top of the.
yep.
And this is actually really sad because I am hardcore rooting for both of these movies.
Nah.
So here's the
I don't-
thing.
Nah.
We're not
I don't
just
care
talking
about Mission anymore.
We're not. Hold on. We're not talking about just Mission Impossible versus Oppenheimer. We're talking about
Also Barbie.
Tom Cruise versus Christopher Nolan and Cillian Murphy, because he's on the phone. He's talking to people. He's like, I want my movie in theaters. I don't want them all to be reserved for Oppenheimer.
did
do you
Top
think-
Gun Maverick.
Hold on. He is like the biggest movie star
Yeah, Tom Cruise is.
What
right now. Do you think
what's
he's
his
going to get his
religion?
way?
What's his religion?
Scientology.
You think anybody
got
in
strings.
Scientology
They
is
got
got
strings.
Oppenheimer?
They're probably in there. They're probably mixed
Okay,
up.
then it
It's
really
the way
depends
that
on
it's
how
it's
high.
like the Jews and the Mormons. They're everywhere.
It
No, but
depends
what-
on how high in the rankings of Scientology they are.
Let's take
That's who's gonna
Scientology.
win.
Let's take Scientology off the table. This is Tom Cruise calling execs and saying, "I want my movie in theaters." Do you think his name?
Does that mean it gets moved?
Stop!
I'm putting it back
I
on
pushed
the
it
table.
off.
I'm
Stop
putting it back
it.
on.
Stop!
He killed it.
It's dead. Stop.
Does that mean he wants the title moved to a different, like later
I
down
don't know,
the road?
but he is calling people and saying, I want IMAX theaters reserved for Mission Impossible. I don't want Oppenheimer to come out and take them all. Do you think he's going to win this battle?
No.
You don't think?
The only way he
No.
wins is if he moves. If
something.
either okay, this
Well,
is yet another
the
example.
question-
I think
the real
Chris
question.
Nolan needs to move the title down a month. If I'm being honest, if you move Oppenheimer
the
to
thing.
August instead of July, then you don't have the Barbie issue.
Yep,
Then you don't have
but
the
this
Mission
is the
Impossible
thing.
issue. Move Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer deserves to
I don't
stand
know
alone.
Why they've done this, but
They want a summer blockbuster. is
Yeah,
what they're
there's
trying to- they're fighting for it.
There's two time frames that movies come out, like basically now and then in December when the bigger movies come out, and they've already got like Dune and stuff.
Dune, I think another Avatar, or
Yeah.
an Avatar's coming
That's next year.
next year. I think they're doing a Star Wars for December.
So the real question, are the execs in the theaters and everything, are they going to cave to Tom Cruise?
Yes.
You think they're going to
I think
are
if
they
Tom
gonna free
Cruise
him
starts,
up?
I think if Tom Cruise starts mentioning, I single-handedly with Maverick, Top Gun, brought people back to theaters
I
and
think so,
saved
too.
everyone's butts.
I think so too.
I think he
that's
will
a,
win.
That's a Hadouken.
I think he will win, but and rightly so. He deserves to not have to compete with this. However, I also want Oppenheimer to work.
Yeah.
So, and because Barbie came in and said, we're releasing ours the same weekend as Oppenheimer because we want to say Chris Nolan couldn't get as many.
Barbie's not going to be Oppenheimer or Mission Impossible.
No.
I'm sorry.
It's not going to be.
Cruise has the star power. Barbie's going to open well because of a lot of the memes and women, but I think Mission Impossible and Oppenheimer are going to have staying power.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so staying power. So we're not dealing with opening weekend then, but we need a good theatrical run for Oppenheimer and
I
Mission Impossible.
think they're going to have to find some sort of middle ground.
Or they're going to
yeah.
have to put out personal
think you're
videos.
right.
Chris Nolan and
Yeah.
Tom
Personal
Cruise are going to
videos.
have to sit in a video together, sitting next to each other and
Just
say,
rock, paper,
we
scissors
both
it.
respect
Hi,
each other.
we both.
Hi,
Just
I'm-
rock,
hi.
paper, scissors
All right, here
it.
we
I'm
go.
Tom Cruise.
No, okay. Hello,
Chris-
I'm Chris Nolan.
And he's going to be like, my movie's coming out.
And my movie Oppenheimer is coming out just 10 days after.
And if you want that experience,
What we came here to say that we
That's a little too much. Who's the guy who does Earth videos?
what we wanted to
Attenborough.
And let's do
what
a
we
little
wanted to do is
Attenborough-y.
we wanted to come here today and we wanted to say to you that we want you to enjoy both of our films in IMAX format. However, it's going to be
It's
a bit of a
Attenborough.
problem.
Yeah, it's
What we
really
want you to do
Attenborough-y.
is we want you to well, it's hard to do with Chris Nolan. What we want you to
Rewind.
do is we want you to watch both films. If you would be willing to get out twice to the movie theaters this summer and watch both films.
Do that part again, but different.
If you would be willing to go to the movie theaters twice.
Again, but different.
If you would be willing to twicely go to the movie theaters this summer.
Again, but more wacky.
Okay. If you would be willing to go, I don't know what you're wanting me to do. Listen, they're gonna have to come together and create I don't know, do something crazy. Have Tom Cruise parachuting over top of a nuclear explosion where they create personalized videos and say, we want you to come to both of these movies. Please do so.
I don't want to be...
I don't know what else
I mean, I don't want to be contrarian, but I think Tom Cruise is definitely... I think he's going to push Oppenheimer out of a lot of theaters.
Yeah.
Out of a lot... Not theaters. Out of a lot of screenings. Because you're right. He's the movie star. He got people back in theaters seriously with Maverick.
So...
Theaters are going to be like, oh, wait, you're right. We want more. We want more Tom Cruise.
Kill Barbie. Make Barbie go straight to streaming. Put Barbie straight to streaming.
No, it's not going to.
I know it's not going to happen. I'm just saying that needs to be the thing that goes straight to streaming and dies. Because there's nothing theater artistic about Barbie. You can enjoy Barbie in your house and have the same experience as if you went to the theater. You don't need to watch Barbie in the theater. So what I'm saying is Mission Impossible, it's for the theater. Oppenheimer, it's for the theater.
Mm-hmm.
Why is Barbie this weird wild card that everyone's going to end up going to?
I'm telling you, Barbie doesn't matter. The argument is between these two of who gets more screen time, who makes more money. Okay,
so we have a new problem child. And if I'm being honest, Cillian Murphy's his lead role in a Chris Nolan film, this is a long time in the making. It doesn't deserve this. It doesn't deserve it. It needs to be a front man. It needs to have its own theater time. It needs to be the
Nolan jump off a cliff and parachute to the ground?
Yeah, he did.
What,
for this film?
Tom Cruise?
Tom Cruise did.
No,
yeah. You said Nolan.
Nolan. No, I'm saying did Nolan.
Nolan did not skydive for Oppenheimer.
Then Tom Cruise wins.
Oh, okay. That's an argument.
Hold on. That doesn't mean anything though. I mean, it means something, but to some people,
I know what you're saying. It means something to fans. That's important.
Okay, here's an issue.
What is Nolan and Cillian doing for fans?
Okay, so what Nolan's doing is he's creating a film format that's for IMAX. Yeah. IMAX is going to prioritize
it is for people.
IMAX, the company, is prioritizing Chris Nolan because they're using his format.
That's why he's
Tom Cruise made Mission Impossible, and the creators of Mission Impossible it's filmed for IMAX, but it's not filmed on IMAX. Yeah. So IMAX, the company, supports Chris Nolan.
This is an argument. We can't.
We're not going to win. Yeah. I just wanted to hear what you guys' thoughts were.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of...
I'm conflicted, man. I'm going to have to go to both of these films because I'm not going to be able to choose. And neither of them deserve this.
Here's the question. Would you be upset if Mission Impossible pushed out some of the screen times for Oppenheimer?
I would be upset.
But
because Oppenheimer's already on its last leg.
Hold on. Would you also...
No.
Oh, you mean Mission Impossible's also?
No. Oppenheimer's on its last leg as a genre. Remember a while ago that there's all sorts of talk that was saying when the film was being announced, they were saying, hey, this might be the last of its kind. It's already struggling. Struggling.
So you're okay with Oppenheimer pushing out Mission Impossible?
If I have to choose, yes.
Oppenheimer. Oh, that's a...
Because you only got one more Mission Impossible, and Mission Impossible's gonna still do great at home watches. It is.
Okay.
I don't think Tom Cruise deserves it, but gosh dang it, if I have to pick, I'm going with Oppenheimer.
That's an Oppenheimer. You guys can... I'm sure you guys have imagination.
Yeah.
This is also topical because the new Street Fighter 6 game just dropped. So...
All right. Look, we got to go.
Yeah. We do have to go.
We do.
Thank you guys for watching. Tell us what you guys think of this.
Oh, that's how we're just ending it.
Why not? End it quick. Everyone,
we got to go.
What does Mr. B say? What does Mr. B say?
Yeah.
Don't lollygag the ending.
Don't lolly.
And we're about to die on the battery.
Yeah, we are.
I mean, there's a whole lot of reasons we should go. We have to go to brunch.
Okay.
I have to go get my baby in her day clothes and in her car seat.
We'll see you.
See ya.